to WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence. Prez and Teddy covers my co-host. This is the best daily sports betting show on the planet. Glad you're all with us. We got a big show lined up. Marco D'Angelo, Ralph Michaels, and Mark Zinno joining us. We're going to look at Baltimore and Chicago, the White Sox against the Orioles, Washington at Phoenix in the WNBA. Yes, it has begun. Ralph Michaels will take apart the Celtics and Pacers game, the Colorado Rockies versus the A's, and he has a chart for us. And Mark Zinno will be looking at a couple of prop bets, one in baseball, one in basketball. Teddy covers my co-host. We're going to do a big game breakdown early in this show. What will it be?
We're going to talk about the earliest game that starts in MLB, the Pirates and the Giants. That goes at 12:35 Eastern. So I'm going to do an early big game breakdown on today's show. So if you want to take advantage of the info I'm going to bring, you can get it down, and also talk about the Philadelphia Phillies when it comes to what bettors learned. The Phillies, an interesting story right now, worth talking about on today's show. But let's get right into it, Lawrence. Ton to talk about. Loaded Thursday edition of the best daily sports betting show on the planet.
You got it, brother. Marco complained last time that I didn't listen to him while he was talking, but he did give out winner after winner after winner.
Yep.
Today, I'm going to sit with bated breath, my ears alert, my brain ready, my eyes focused. Marco D, Baltimore at the White Sox. How are we betting this game?
Well, guys, first off, we're going to take this game and we're going to make it a first 5-inning wager for two reasons. One, I want no part of the Baltimore bullpen, who coughed up another game last night, blew a lead for the team. And we're going to bring the price down because we are looking at money line of minus 245. But if we take this first 5 innings and lay the half a run, we're going to get this down to a bettable size number, which is minus 135. I'm going to take Baltimore. They're sending Grayson Rodriguez to the mound. The last week he came off the 15-day injury list, but he came back and he pitched a gem, went 6 scoreless innings, allowed just 1 run. The 15-day stint on the DL was because of shoulder inflammation. Ironically, the game that he pitched prior to going on the injury list, he had 5 2/3 innings of scoreless baseball there as well against the Yankees. So this is a guy that's pitching very well before the short stay on the injury list and coming off of it. I am going to look for him to continue that tonight against the White Sox. And he's going to be facing a pitcher, Mike Clevenger, who in 3 starts has not survived the 5th inning in any of the 3 starts. And that's why he's got an ERA of 5.56 on the season. Worse than that is a whip of 1.85. As I always say, when you're letting almost 2 base runners per inning get on, only bad things can happen to you, and that's what's been happening to him. A couple stats for you that also support Baltimore in this game. Baltimore has lost 2 or more consecutive games over the last 2 seasons. Well, they bounced back 20-8 in that spot. And this is one of those quirky stats, and I know our good buddy Ralph Michaels, Stat Daddy, did a grid on this earlier in the year. But Baltimore is one of those teams that for some reason loves Thursdays. They're 16-3 on Thursdays going back to the start of last season. Just another thing to put Baltimore in there. Today, lay the half a run, first 5 innings, eliminate the bullpens. That's my play for our first free play for Thursday.
So I had my fun with Baltimore Tuesday night into Wednesday when my 5% big ticket play on the Baltimore Orioles went down in flames in a suspended game as the Orioles got swept in St. Louis. They're now 3-6 their last 9 ball games, and their bats have gone cold. Baltimore scored more than 4, I think, twice during this 9-game span while they've gone 3-6. Are you worried at all that, and the Orioles are such an interesting team. I'm going to talk about the Phillies a little bit later in the show as a team that's not getting the wise guy support that you think they might. Baltimore's certainly been that team where the betting markets and the broader betting markets and the sharp money is saying tap the brakes on the Orioles. This team's a little bit overvalued. Are they?
Well, they had such success last year, Teddy, that, coming into the new season. I could give you an example from last year. Remember all the hype when the Seattle Mariners starting the season because of the way they finished the year before and everything? You expect it. And they've had some injuries with the starting pitchers. That's hurt them just when they were getting the momentum going. But again, I agree with you. Baltimore's not playing good baseball at the moment. But the White Sox haven't really played good ball all year. And you talk about a team that's not scoring. Look at Baltimore, the White Sox. I see a lot of twos, 1-2s. That lineup doesn't fear me at all. And they are returning off of a road trip. You know my feelings in those spots. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Baltimore. I'm going to trust Grayson Rodriguez over Clevenger. I think that's a mismatch. And let's go the first 5 innings, and don't worry about that bullpen that let us down the other night, and then again yesterday in the second half of the kind of doubleheader yesterday with Baltimore St. Louis.
Marco D'Angelo joining us, co-founder of WagerTalk. Guys, if you like what you're hearing, please take a second out of your day and hit that like button. It would be greatly appreciated. Also, subscribe to our channel. We're picking up about 1,000 new subscribers a week. Let's get that to 2,000, please. Really happy to see all of you guys back in the chat room. B Daddy, Ray, Randy, Justin, Sean Alvarez, outstanding horse handicapper over at WagerTalk. He takes time out of his day every day to watch the show and join us in the chat. Thanks, everyone. Marco, WNBA. So Teddy, myself, and Rick Alec, plus all the wives, went for dinner last week, a beautiful dinner at Amalfi, Bobby Flay's restaurant and Caesars. You were unable to join us. Something about not wanting to spend time with Teddy. No. You went to the Aces opening night. So you are right into this WNBA sport, a sport that I don't follow at all. Washington is playing Phoenix. You like Washington at +6. Tell us why.
Yeah, actually, it's up to 6.5, and there's even a couple 7s popping around town. And, full disclosure, yeah, I am. And this year, I'm following the WNBA because I do a radio show here in town. The co-host, or the host of the show, I'm the co-host, is the play-by-play announcer of the Aces. So we do Aces talk every show, and I ended up buying season tickets. So I'm not only following the sport, I'm seeing all of the teams that come through here. So you know what? I got to use all of that to make us some money, and that's why I'm covering the WNBA. This is a spot, Phoenix comes in here. This is their 4th game of this season. In a scheduling quirk, 2 of their first 3 games were against the back-to-back defending champs, the Las Vegas Aces, both games here in Vegas. One of them was that Tuesday night, opening night, ring night for the Aces, the night I blew you guys off over the Aces. And then they played them again this past Tuesday, and they upset the Aces. Last year, the Aces only had 1 loss on their home floor during the regular season, and they handed them a loss in game 3 of this season. That was a monumental win for Phoenix. You know me, when you get a big underdog that wins outright, and now they're going to a favorite in their next game. This is a team, off their biggest win, not only obviously of this young season, but in the last couple years for the Mercury. I'm going to fade them laying the points here. They shot the lights out of the basketball in that game, and an insane 48.5% from 3-point range in the game. That was the difference in the game for the Mercury. I just don't see them doing that at home for a second game. They're laying a big number. This is a team that has not been good. Their best player is not even in the lineup. Brittany Griner, she's on the DL right now. They do have Tyrese, who is playing her 21st season in the WNBA and still lighting it up. But Washington's been in every game they've played so far. I'm going to take them plus the points here. Fat and sassy bunch, Phoenix, as I said, coming off that big win. And here's a little stat in the WNBA over the last 5 seasons. Playing road underdogs in the line frame of +3.5 to +9.5, who is coming off a loss in their last game, playing a team that is returning home off of a game where both teams scored 75 or more, and this was a high-scoring game the other night. The Mercury scored 98 points, and they were trying to get that 100th point very badly. They have gone 25-6 against the spread, taking the dog in this situation. This number's too high. I'm taking the inflated number with Washington. A game that I have is basically a 1 to 3 point game.
Marco says, look at the Mystics over the Mercury, plus the points in Thursday night WNBA. Marco, you've had a pretty good 2024, I have to say. What do you have to promote right now? Tell the folks about what your records are, what your streaks are, and what you have going right now at WT.buzz/MLB.
Now, it's all about the NBA tonight, not the WNBA. I've got a big play in game 2 of the Celtics Pacers. Guys, you know I'm very selective on the big plays. When I say I've got a rare 5%, it's rare. I've only released 5 of them the entire basketball season, both college and NBA. We had 3 in college, 2 in the NBA this year. We're a perfect 5-0 on the 5% plays. I've got one tonight. You can head over to WagerTalk, pick the game up. I have it in a package. $39 will get you that play along with some other bonus plays in the package. Get it all for $39 tonight over at WagerTalk. 5% play. Number 1 in the NBA over the last 4 years. We're up over 211 units over that span. Just short term, long term, it's been great in the NBA. Let's get it done tonight.
Marco D'Angelo. Guys, Teddy covers his big game breakdown. Starts early, and so does my daily presidential address. So we're going to go back to back right now, right here, and then we will get to what did bettors learn after Ralph Michaels. Theodore, before we get into it real quick, I want to shout out Carmine Bianco, best guy ever. He's got a 5% play tonight in the NHL. So do I. I'll talk about mine a little bit later. Those plays are not against each other. Carmine and I are on different plays, so you can get both of them for the NHL tonight. Good luck, my brother Carm. Teddy, the mic is yours.
The mic is mine. It's big game breakdown time. And, of course, this is early start MLB. First pitch, a little bit more than 20 minutes from now. Let's talk the Pittsburgh Pirates and the San Francisco Giants. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. The money has come for Pittsburgh. Minus 180, the prevailing number right now. Total sitting at 8. I don't want any part of the Pirates bullpen, which blew another game last night in pretty ugly fashion. So let's talk about first 5 here for Pittsburgh. Look, the Pirates are showing real signs of life right now. The lineup still sucks, but at least they're not ice cold. The bullpen has been better. Now the starting pitching staff is loaded, but prior to last night's bullpen disaster. But it's a Pittsburgh team right now where the arrow is at least pointed up. Skeens has absolutely lived up to the hype. All right. What do you have? 11 strikeouts in 6 no-hit innings last week. 18 strikeouts in 10 big league innings so far. And a pitcher, the last pitcher I can think of the hype, he's getting Steven Strasburg type of hype. And Strasburg was, as a rookie, as good a pitcher as you'll ever see. He's nasty right now. And you hear the quotes from the Cubs after that game. It's a big boy throwing a heavy baseball. That's what Pete Crow Armstrong said. He does a really good job with mixing and everything. It's tough to hit anybody that throws 100 plus with 2 to 3 really good secondary pitches. The Giants aren't any good. We've seen that now. This is a 500 at best team, and I think they'll be a sub 500 team when all said and done. It's a West Coast team, an early start game on the East Coast. That's always a problem. And their starter, and Miller is a guy who has had all kinds of. He pitched out of the bullpen earlier in the week. Spot starter. To me, it's a mismatch first 5 innings. All right. How do you play it? First 5 minus a half a run for Pittsburgh. You can get that in the minus 135, minus 140 range if you shop around. In my mind, that's a profitable, positive expectation major. A positive expectation wager to make with profitable tendencies. Pirates, first 5 innings, minus a half a run. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. Let's go straight into the daily presidential address. Daniel's son. Okay, everybody. I got one Major League Baseball bet to give out for you guys today. Again, it is a 12:35 start time. It's on the Seattle and New York Yankees game. Before we get into that, had another winning night last night. My 4% in NBA cashed. Now on a 15-1 NBA run. That is right, 15-1. I have one NBA bet going for tonight's game. And more importantly, I have a 5% going in hockey tonight. I'm on a 21-4 run in 4% or higher bets. I'm super stoked about this play. Probably my favorite play of the NHL playoffs so far. You get my NBA and my NHL for only $39, or due to popular demand, you can still get that deal we offered on my birthday yesterday, $55 for a 7-day all-access pass. You can find that on the deals page at WagerTalk or on my page. The promo code is BDAY55. That's BDAY55. Let's get into it. So Seattle's playing the Yankees, and well, it's moving day for both days. Seattle gets on a plane, flies to Washington, and the Yankees, well, they're heading all the way west to San Diego. I like to play unders on these getaway days. Firstly, the umpires are getting away as well. Strike zone will be a little larger. But really, most importantly, we got two pitchers in really good form right now. Lewis Gill, 5-1 on the season, 2.39 ERA, 1.08 whip, pitching lights out. These are ace numbers. And Seattle, well, Castilla, he's had two really, really good outings in a row. Bottom line here, guys, and I'll make it quick. I'm looking to take under the total. I put it up last night when it was 8. It is now 7.5. I still like the under. That's where we're going. Take under the total in Seattle and the Yankees. Ralph Michaels joining us. Ralph, how are you, my friend? And congratulations. You are rolling in everything right now.
It's been a good couple of weeks ever since I got to Florida. You know, Johnny said if this stays up, then I'm moving to Florida permanently. But all kidding aside, Prez, I do want to reach out, say happy belated birthday. I tweeted out yesterday, when I moved to Vegas in 2016, I knew Brian. I met Marco. Marco set up a call with you one night. I had a job with WagerTalk that evening, and as you could see, it's the best phone call I ever made. So thank you, Prez. Thank you to everyone at WagerTalk. And by the way, let's see, Prez, why would anyone spend $39 on your package today when the $55? That means you're getting in the next 6 days for $2.67 a day. Do not buy the $39 package. Take advantage of Prez's $55 birthday special.
Well said, Ralph. And you know, it's happened. I mean, we've already made a bunch of sales on my 5% play tonight, and most of those sales are the $39 sales. Baffling, confusing, but greatly appreciated. Lots of love. What does Chuck Pod have to say? Hey, Prez, or anyone in admin, YouTube doesn't show a like button on your shows anymore. Very strange, as I just hit the like button as I read that, Chuck. So I'm not with you there, but I'm happy to look into it. Ralph, let's get straight into... Yes, Chuck.
It's below the video, not in the chat. That's where the like button is. Problem solved.
Wow, Teddy, that was verbatim, dude. Verbatim what was whispered in your ear.
When someone talks in your ear and says, say this, that's what you're supposed to say. It's not a problem.
Oh.
Easy enough.
Okay. Teddy, say how great the Prez is.
The Prez is great. Okay.
Ralph Michaels!
Let's talk some
We got NBA going tonight, brother. All right, Teddy, we're good. We're good. You did what you're supposed to do. Indiana playing Boston. Boston -9, 224.5. How you betting this game?
You know, how about if I say I'm going to go first quarter? Now, I'm going to bring up probably Teddy's question at the end of the video first and bring up the negative. Let's remember that this Boston team beat Miami game 1. They were a 14-point favorite in game 2. They lost by 10 and failed to cover by 24. They beat Cleveland game 1. Game 2, they lost outright as a 13.5-point favorite. They failed to cover by 37.5. So one of two things are going to happen. They learn from coming out flat in game number 2, or the Pacers roll them today and they just didn't learn. I think they do learn. When you look at the Celtics, they were the number 1 team this year as far as first quarter margin goes, plus 4.5 points per game. The Pacers were down in number 13. They get off to slow starts. When I look at round 3 teams in series game 2 as a favorite of -4 or more, the first quarter is plus 4.5 points per game. FYI, the second quarter plus 2.7, third quarter plus 1.3, fourth quarter only plus 0.2. And when I look at a team that won series game 1 as a home favorite but failed to cover, guess what? The first quarter, by far the best margin for those teams at home, plus 4.1 points per game. The second, third, and fourth quarters are plus 0.7, plus 3.8, and plus 0.8. In the playoffs, Boston's plus 4.8 points per game in the first quarter. And on the road this year in the playoffs, the Pacers are only plus 0.4 points per game. I like Boston to jump out early. I think this team has to say, listen, as poorly as we've played in game 2, the first 2 series, we absolutely have to come out focused. Celtics first quarter -3.
So the markets have zigzagged for this game, at least a little bit. You know, where game 1, Boston was as high as 10, 10.5. And the fact they won game 1, now we're seeing, 8.5s popping up on the WagerTalk Live odds screen right now with the prevailing number of 9. So we're seeing some zigzag in the markets, saying that they expect Indiana to play well. Do you think that the Pacers, coming off a game in which they kind of gave it away, that we would expect?
And the coach said it was his fault. Yeah.
Yeah. So in a situation like that, do you expect that team that just gave a key playoff game away, do you expect them to come out in that first quarter and be fully focused, or do you expect them to come out in that first quarter and be still a little bit hungover from last time out? Because my biggest fear for this game on the Boston first quarter is that Indiana comes out with a little bit of laser focus and that, coming off that blown lead. So I'm curious as to what your take on it is, Ralph.
The first quarter was like plus 3 points for the home team, Teddy. I did run this number just in case. If an NBA team won at home in overtime, and now they're at home again since 2011, there's only been 16 games. They've gone 12-4 straight up, 12-3-1 ATS. So it's showing that home teams off an overtime win have bounced back. But like I said, after losing those 2 game 2s, I think they have to come in totally focused. So I do lean with the Celtics in that spot.
Ralph Michaels joining us. Lots more still to come, including Ralph's chart. I was on the A's yesterday, did not get that in. They're playing the Rockies today. Where are you going with this game?
Well, a couple weeks ago I was here and we talked about, I actually played against the White Sox, but I said, keep your eye on the White Sox. They started so poorly and they're actually playing well. Well, guess what? Colorado is in the exact same boat. The Rockies started the season 8-28, but since May 9th, they are actually 8-4 with an average line of plus 151, and that's plus 73% ROI. Oakland, the exact opposite, started the season 17-17, but since May 5th, they are 3-14 and minus 60.4% ROI. You look at the first 2 games of the series, a one-run win by A's in game 1, a Rockies 1-run win in game 2. But you look at the bats, the Rockies have had 20 hits, the A's have had only 14 hits. And you look at Colorado's bats over the last 8 games, they're averaging 4.6 runs per game, and they're averaging 10 hits per game. And that includes a game couple games ago where they only had 3 hits as a 200 favorite. They've had 4 or more runs in 8 of their last 9 games. And you look at Oakland, A's are averaging 2.3 runs per game the last 9, and they topped 4 runs only once. I am going Colorado first 5 at even money. And Marco talked about Baltimore's bullpen. He didn't want first 5. Well, Colorado's bullpen right now with a 4.82 ERA. So if there's a bullpen you want to avoid, it's the Rockies. But do give me Colorado first 5. They're a team, again, that has gone 8-4 their last 12 games.
Colorado's also gone 1-4 their last 5 games. They had the 7-game winning streak. Then they lost 4 in a row, and then they won again last night. And, of course, the A's, they're 1-1 in their last 2 games after the walk-off win against the Rockies the other day. But when we talk about a first 5 wager here, Ralph, and really between 2 bad teams, all right, the Rockies ain't getting to 500 this year. The A's at 17-17. I say they don't sniff 500 again, now that they're 20-31. I don't think either team gets close. So we're talking about 2 bad teams, basically a pick-em price. I guess my question here is why? Why do we want to get involved? I mean, for as much as the A's shouldn't be laying, Colorado's no good. We know Colorado's no good. You're not even getting a big plus price to back them. Why do we pick this game? And saying that as someone who used this game as my big game breakdown yesterday and cashed with the Rockies. But do you have any issues with bottom feeders and playing these bottom feeder matchups?
Teddy, I'm going to turn that around. I'm going to say, do the A's, who have the 4th worst record in baseball and a win percentage under 40%, deserve to be a favorite? So it's the same thing. So while I'm getting only plus 100, I'm still not laying juice in that role. So I'm actually fading the A's in that situation. So completely agree with the point. But in this situation with Oakland, it's a situation because of the bats and current form hitting over the last 7, 8, or 9 days that I do lean with the Rockies.
Ralph, let's turn our attention to your chart. MLB extra innings. You've got a whole lot of great information for us. The mic is yours.
First, let me say this. I put average line in and I put return on investment percentage in, but you can't really look at those numbers. Those are just extra numbers in this chart. Why? Because this chart talks about how teams have done in extra innings. And if you look at return on investment, all the home favorites are negative because, again, you're looking at the entire game line, not the live line going into overtime. But do take a look at the bottom charts. Home dogs since 2015 are on the left. Home favorites are on the right. I have, if they're down after 8 innings, down after 7 innings, down after 6 innings, up after 8, up after 7, up after 6, or tied after 8, tied after 7, tied after 6. So I will post this on Twitter like I always do. The one thing that jumps out to me, guys, if you look at home favorites on the bottom right in the blue, if you were down after the 8th inning, down after the 7th inning, and down after the 6th inning, you have only won 51% of your games, 52% of your games, and 51% of your games. If you were down and you scored last and now going into extra innings. But take a look if you were up after 8, up after 7, and up after 6. You have actually won in overtime in extra innings 59%, 54%, and 53%. Teddy and Prez, I would have thought the opposite. I would have thought teams that blew a lead would have done poorer than a team that scored last to force overtime. Those teams have actually been a negative. So a lot of information to divulge. There's no wow number that I could break out to you here. I did this as two followers on Twitter reached out to me and asked me to run these numbers. So this is the data. If you are a live bettor and wants to play a game once it goes into extra innings, this just gives you some information to look at.
Sure. Well, I mean, the one thing that stands out to me, Ralph, that it says that you don't want to be laying prices with the better team when it comes to extra inning affairs, that there's not much of an edge. You see all those negative ROIs, tells me that if I'm looking at extra inning games, I want the dog at the plus price. That's the first glance at that chart. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, Teddy, the problem is this. Home favorites you see the ROI. The average line was minus 156, 158, and 156. That was full game ROI. If you're live betting it into extra innings, the average price is probably going to be 110 or 115, maybe 120, depending on the bullpens or who scored last. So that's why the IRI can't really be taken into effect here, because the average line is full game and not the live betting situation you would get going into the 10th inning.
Ralph Michaels, you are on a 19-6 NBA run, a 31-17 baseball run. Really just been lights out for over a month now. Again, congratulations. What do you have going for our clients tonight?
I have a 3-pack, which is just about to go off. I do have an NBA play for tonight. And guys, for those that like no run first inning or yes run first inning, I do a chart every day on Twitter, the WagerTalk First Inning Report. And since I started posting free plays and paid plays for first inning yes nos, I've gone 26-5. They become semi-viral on Twitter. So make sure you check out my homepage daily, and I will, for the rest of May, give out my top first inning play absolutely free, even if it's a client release, in the free play section at wagertalk.com.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks for joining us, Ralph. Teddy, what did bettors learn?
Let's talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. I got a question about the Phillies in the live, in the chat yesterday in the comments section for my new Quick Hitter Daily podcast, Wake Up and Win with Teddy Covers. You can catch that just after 7 a.m. Pacific time each and every day on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. The question about the Phillies, like why, like saying Phillies should be an auto bet right now. Why does the money coming against them? And I thought it was an interesting question. The money poured in against Philadelphia last night. They opened minus 140-ish. They closed minus 115-ish. All Rangers money. Of course, the Phillies won that game 11-4. So you start digging in, and the same thing happened today, even with Wheeler on the hill. The sharp money for Texas, plus 200s got wiped out, plus 190s in a lot of cases got wiped out the minus 200s are wiped out, the minus 190s for Philadelphia wiped out in those ballgames, the money coming for Texas. So why are the broader betting markets, why are the wise guys fading the Phillies? They just had the best 50-game start in baseball since Seattle, since 2001. All right, but here's the thing. They started 8-8. So it wasn't even like that Mariners team that won 119 games in 2001 and didn't win the World Series, who got off to a ridiculous, who was hot from opening day. Philly was 8-8 after 16 games. They're 28-6 since. They've won 5 straight. They've won 17 of their last 20. They're 21-8 at home and 17-2 their last 19 at Citizens Bank Ballpark. These are ridiculous numbers. They have the best record in baseball. And at 36-14, again, it's the best 50-game start in franchise history, the best since Seattle in 2001, the best in the National League since the 1998 Braves. So when you see a team, and again, the quotes are ridiculous. JT Realmuto, we know that in any situation we're put in, we can come through. We have a chance to win every game, no matter where we're at. Even if we're down late, we have confidence in ourselves. That just speaks to the culture we've built here. All of this is bet on, bet on, bet on, bet on, bet on. So why is the money coming? 2 reasons. First, the Phillies have done something that hasn't been done in the last 23 years. And it's even rarer than that because they started 8-8. When you have a complete outlier in modern MLB history, the markets are going to fade that outlier. Sometimes they'll get burned doing that. Second issue, starting pitching. And now we're starting to see it today. This is the first time that I've seen money come against Wheeler. The markets love Wheeler. The markets love Nola. The markets love Suarez. But certainly when you have the Phillies' 4th and 5th starters, there's been no market respect for those guys at all. So, the 4 and 5 starters have been your let's make money with the Phillies type of guys. Everyone's been let's make money with the Phillies type of guys. But bottom line, moving forward, Philadelphia is not going to go 28-6 their next 34. This is probably a team where there's some value fading. That being said, I ain't going to fade them until they start to lose. It's Phillies or pass for this bettor until we see signs of regression. That's my 2 cents. The Philadelphia Phillies, and why the wise guy money is coming against them despite the hottest start in baseball in the last 23 years. Lawrence?
Teddy covers. Mark Zinno joining us. Mark's got a Game 2 Eastern Conference best bet going tonight, and you're on a 4-1 run in the NBA, 63% since May 1st. Congratulations on that, and nice to have you, my friend.
Teddy, Prez, great to be with you guys as always, and a happy belated birthday, Prez, to you as well. Always great to be here. Yeah, been locked in on the NBA here for a better part of the month now, and gone 4-1 on 5% plays in the NBA this month as well. So staying hot as best we can.
Brilliant stuff. You got 2 prop bets for us. Let's get into it. The first one in the Baltimore Orioles game. You got a prop bet for us on Rodriguez. What is it?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Marco looking at this game, I knew I wanted to play on the Orioles somehow after getting swept, but you just start seeing some of these prices, guys, and they've been exorbitant all around. Minus 250 on the money line. Even the minus 1.5 was still around minus 150, 160, so it felt unplayable to me. The first 5, I know Ralph went there. I wasn't willing to lay that kind of juice for a first 5 price here, especially with an Orioles lineup that, for all intents and purposes, is very good, but has struggled over the last 3 games. So I dipped into Grayson Rodriguez here. Grayson Rodriguez to get a win tonight, minus 110. He's their best starter, their most consistent starter. He also gets 6.7 runs of support per start from the Orioles. They have the better bullpen. I think the bats come alive here. We find a way to bet this game at a manageable number and a favorable price here. Grayson Rodriguez to get a win, minus 110 for the Orioles tonight, and they snap that losing streak after getting swept by the Cardinals.
So just real quick, Mark, I know that Lawrence is on a little bit of a time crunch, but I want to ask you, I mean, Baltimore has been playing good ball. They're 3-6 their last 9. They're not hitting. Right now, it's if they don't hit a home run, there's no rallies from the Orioles. It's all long ball or nothing. Is this a team that you think that there's value with right now, despite their current struggles?
Well, essentially, yes, because odds makers have put their team total at 5.5. They're not even going to give you the 4.5 right now because Mike Clevenger is on the mound for the White Sox, and his ERA is approaching 6. So they're telling you here that this little sort of streak they're going on is the anomaly, not the norm for this Orioles team that should be able to break out here and score a lot of runs. I mean, again, it was another market I couldn't get into. You're trying to go over a team total of 5.5 with the Orioles. Even at plus money, it just didn't seem worth it. Too much variance for me there because it could be a game where Rodriguez shuts them down and the Orioles don't need to do much with the bat. So I'm confident in this Orioles team. I still think they're the best team in the AL East, and I think this is, again, just a stretch of games where they didn't hit, and they should snap out of it pretty quickly.
You're on mute. You're muted, Lawrence.
I'm off mute. It happens to the best of us. One of our listeners, Daryl Turner, wrote, Timberwolves and Rangers ruined a lot of parlays last night. No, DT. People who bet parlays ruined parlays last night. Mark Zinno, I got to run, bro. I told everybody at the beginning of the year I'm going to miss shows because my dad is 80 now. I'm golfing with him once a week, and he wanted to do it early today. I'm going to set up the question, and I'm going to take off. It is no disrespect to you. I love you. You're incredible. So you got a prop bet for us on Haliburton tonight. Tell everybody, and Teddy, finish the show. Namaste, my friends. Grab my
Enjoy your
5%
golf
play tonight.
All right. Thanks, Prez. Appreciate you. All right, Teddy, Tyrese Haliburton. When you look at his points prop tonight, kind of jumps off the page to go, that feels a little low. I think there's a reason for it at 18.5. Now, just for Haliburton's sake here, you look at the last 2 games that he's played, Teddy, 6 for 12 from 3 and then 6 for 14 from 3. He went 10 of 17 shooting and 8 of 18 shooting in those games, scoring 26 and 25 points. That's kind of not Haliburton's game, especially the 3-point shooting. There was one other time this postseason where he made at least 6 3-pointers in back-to-back games against the Knicks in games 2. And in games 3, he scored 34 and 35 and then fell off the wagon. In fact, this postseason, on the road, Haliburton has scored 9, 12, and 16 against Milwaukee. Then he scored 6, the aforementioned 34, then 13 and 26 in the game against the Knicks. He scored 25 on the road against Boston, but 20 in regulation. I bring all this up to say that in the big picture here, you're looking at a Pacers team, Teddy, that over the last 3 games has shot better than 53% from the field in a 3-game stretch. They have not done that at any point this season for 53%. You can find a stretch around Christmas over 4 games where they shot better than 50%. But the difference between 50% and 53% is quite big at this point in time, especially for a player like Haliburton, who doesn't typically make a lot of threes here. I think regression is coming for the Pacers from a shooting standpoint, particularly Haliburton here. I love this look of Tyrese Haliburton under 18.5 points. I expect Boston's defense to lock down tonight, be a lot better after getting a wake-up call sort of in game 1 with how close that is. So give me Tyrese Haliburton under 18.5 points tonight.
So it sounds to me like Halliburton's not the only Pacer you'd want to fade here. Is there anyone else that you would look at on Indiana? Because clearly you're talking under and you're talking Boston for tonight, and I wouldn't disagree with either of them. But is there another Pacer that stands out to you as someone that we look to fade?
Not particularly. I'll just say this much. There have been 3 road games this year where the Pacers have scored under 95 points. They have played 8 road games all in total now, including the one against Boston. So, as much as everybody wants to sort of buy into this narrative about Boston and game 2s and things of that nature here, Teddy, I don't know that I'm going to bet into any narratives. I think the Pacers are due for some shooting regression. Now, that could still mean they could score 105, 106 points, right? Because they're an offense that plays with so much pace. So it's not necessarily about an individual person, but Haliburton, the guy who sort of, gets all the draw and gets all the attention when you talk about, points, props, and things of that nature. He's the one guy you look at the most who has the highest, point total. It may defer to Turner. It may defer to Siakam here. His total's at 20.5. I think all these could be very prime for an under here.
Mark Zinno, strong info for game 2 tonight, Indiana and Boston. What do you have going for the clients? What do you want to promote over at WagerTalk.com?
Another play here in the Eastern Conference Finals, again, on a 4-1 run this week in the NBA. 4-1 overall with our last 5% plays. All this NBA playoffs, guys. We've been seeing the board really well, hitting 63% since the beginning of May when the playoffs got underway. So we are locked and loaded. Just got that one play up in the Eastern Conference Finals tonight over at WagerTalk.com, WT.buzz/MZ. Get that play for $25 up on the site right now.
Check it out, WT.buzz/MZ. Mark Zinno's best bet for this evening in the association. And that's it. That's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition of Wager Talk Today. Prez will do it again tomorrow. I'm taking tomorrow off. I'll be off on Monday as well. Memorial Day weekend. We got friends in town. Looking forward to having a little bit of fun. I tend to work a lot and have fun not quite as much. This weekend, hopefully, we'll get to relax and enjoy myself a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that very much. But Wager Talk Today will be back tomorrow. There'll be a show on Monday. I'll be back joining you on Tuesday. Between now and then, enjoy the games. Thanks for watching. We appreciate those thumbs up. If you haven't done it, give that click right now. Thank you. Enjoy the games and best of luck with all your wagers. Cheers.